Mark Gatiss,
Yes.
sir, if I might be so bold to say I bloody love you, mate. I was such a huge fan of the League of Gentlemen back in the day and everything you did with, well, you were involved in Doctor Who, I'm a huge fan of, and Sherlock, of course, and Game of Thrones. And I took a friend to see The Motive and the Q on the West End just a few weeks ago, and it was spellbinding.
Thank you so much.
To sound a bit lovey at the start of it, but
lovely.
it was fantastic.
Thank you. It's going back now, look, it's going back.
It's going back.
Finished on Saturday.
It'll be a main in weeks. How's that experience for you, stepping back onto the boards? We know you from television, of course, but doing that night after night, does it take a toll, or are you still coming down from the buzz?
It does take a toll. It's a big, amazing part, and it was physically very tiring. 15 weeks of it, and I finished on Saturday, and I am slightly bereft at the moment. It's amazing. You make such close friends, and then it suddenly stops. And I'm quite glad to come out tonight because I was feeling a bit mopey. But yeah, it was a really incredible experience, and hopefully it won't be the end of it. So we'll see.
Television, I guess, is a microcosm of that experience as well, as opposed to maybe film, because if you're doing a TV show, you may be together for a weeks or months, as opposed to maybe a week or a few days. You're here to celebrate Nolly tonight. Talk me through that experience for you, what it was like being involved with Russell again, and the fact that it's been so well received by people as well. That must be quite gratifying.
Very, yes. I mean, the nomination was totally out of the blue. I was chuffed, very surprised, but delighted. Yeah, it was a lovely experience. I mean, just saying, that when you get emails, that they usually, from your agent, they're quite dry because they'll tell you what the project is, and then it just says casually, "You have been offered the role of Larry Grace," and I went, "Oh wow!" And then I texted Russell and said, "A 3-parter about Noel Gordon. This is like gay gold, catnip," and. I just thought it was such a wonderful script and so funny and moving, and I really love is something that celebrates television, and I love the idea that ITV made this prestige drama about one of the things it used to be most embarrassed about. But the brilliant thing about Russell's script is that, of course, that it's so universal. It's about a queen losing her crown. You don't even have to know the ins and outs of Crossroads. It's on PBS is showing it in America, and they can get it because their history of slightly ropey daytime soaps. I think but you don't even have to know the personalities. I think, but obviously it makes a difference if you do.
Speaking of America, actually, finally, I read recently the creator of The Sopranos had kind of announced the death of quality television. He said we were at the funeral of quality television. But on nights like tonight and shows like we're talking about, that seems a bit far-fetched. We're certainly in a different situation, a different landscape than we were in 20 years ago, but it feels like the stories are still being told, and there's some incredible things.
I mean, this is absolutely true. I think it was somewhere at the turn of the 20th century, some great intellectual announced that nothing else would ever be invented, because that was the end of history. It sounds a bit like that. I mean, there are always golden ages, and there always really aren't, But 20 years ago, when The Sopranos was being made, there was so much. That was the beginning of the rebirth of television, and we are going through another amazing period. Amazing stuff. There's a lot of stuff, and we are slightly recalibrating. I think the streamers are pulling their horns in a bit, mostly because they kind of massively overspent. And people are a bit scared because it's very quiet at the moment. But a lot of that is a readjustment to the fact that he was like a couple of years ago. It was like the Wild West out there. People couldn't buy enough studios, and so that's a very real thing. But it's an incredible time, and also very exciting because so much of it is changing.
I think the only issue is so many incredible programs in the last few years, as you say, it's been like the spitting out. Don't get seen, I guess, because there's so much great content out there. But anyway, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
I think if we did stop inventing things 20 years ago, at least we wouldn't have Twitter now, or X, as we have to call it. But
you don't have to call it that.
We don't have to.
I don't call it that.
Shan't.
One day, when he sells it for £10, we'll call it Twitter again.